We're back. It's been a while, actually. If you're wondering when this is being recorded, today is January 2nd, 2024. I haven't recorded one of these for about 2.5, almost 3 months now. Sorry about that. Sorry. to the 29 subscribers, I deeply apologize. Hopefully we're getting more views than subscribers, but hey, I knew what I was getting into when I started this. It is what it is. I do these videos more just for extra information and credibility. I'm not looking to be a professional YouTuber, so I guess I see the irony in what I'm saying sometimes. The good news is we've been busy. The bad news is we've been busy, so you know what that means overall for people, and it means it's difficult to do videos. Also, I like to write down some things I want to talk about, and then I think about them for a while, and then I present. So what am I talking about today? Well, a lot of these videos have to do with technicalities of debt, but I do like to delve into the reasons people are in debt. And I did do a video on big shot-itis. That was a video that talked about people who have these grand ambitions, which are wonderful. You need ambition. A world without ambition would be a pretty lousy world. We'd still be living in caves. But there are people who seem to have this need to go overboard. They want this when they should be focusing on that. And I guess an offshoot of big shot-itis, though I wouldn't necessarily call it, it's not necessarily people trying to be big shots, but I wonder if you can call it entrepreneuritis. Doesn't have the same ring. I don't know if you've ever met someone. Has this ever happened to you? You're introduced to someone, they say, what do you do? And you tell them, and then you say to them, so what do you do? And they say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And your first impulse may be, I see. Okay, what does that mean? Is this guy telling me that he's a business owner? Is this guy telling me that he's involved in several ventures and maybe he's one of these really sharp individuals who just has a nose for money? Or is he telling me in a very polite fashion and grandiose fashion that he's unemployed? That word carries several connotations. It's a shame. It shouldn't. True entrepreneurs, they're tough to find. But they are extraordinary people, and we should all be glad they exist. If it weren't for them, again, our lives would be pretty dull and pretty miserable in a lot of cases. Some entrepreneurs have done some great things. True entrepreneurs tend to be natural-born leaders. I am not an entrepreneur, just in case you think I'm trying to exalt myself here. I'm a business owner, but I don't consider myself an entrepreneur at all. I'm self-employed mainly because it's the method that I find makes me most productive. It's where I can accomplish the most. It's where I'm able to earn the most, and it's where I have a semblance of control over what I do, and just seems to fit my personality. But I'm not an entrepreneur. I thought I was at one point. I have a couple of failed businesses in my past. My attempts at being an entrepreneur, and look, entrepreneurs fail. It's not failures. Just as you get older and you hopefully mature and you realize things about yourself, you recognize not only your strengths, but you really recognize your weaknesses. You start to accept more who you are and your abilities and your limitations. And something I realized was I'm not a natural entrepreneur. I'm not a natural leader. I'm not a natural business owner. It's a medium that works for me, but the way I do things is, let's just say, there's a reason I do things the way I do. It's just I don't particularly like managing. I have employees, but fortunately they're very self-sufficient and very easy to work with, because managing is just something that drives me crazy. I'd rather focus on the meat and potatoes of the business, which is helping people get out of debt. Anyways, why am I mentioning all this stuff? A common theme with entrepreneurs, and I see this because every year I will have a few clients. What do you do? Well, I'm a business coach. I'm this. I sell this over the internet. I have an Amazon store. I have this. Any kind of business. They tend to be more of the consultation type. Look, I'm a consultant, so I'm not trying to slam all consultants, but I will get clients who are entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs, meaning they've been involved in several businesses, and that's fine. The reason I mention this, though, when I'm doing this video is I think a challenge entrepreneurs face and need to learn to deal with, and don't always deal with appropriately, because I think they've had their brains scrambled by others, is this notion that a true entrepreneur never gives up. And as a result, they haven't given up. They stick with their business. They do their best to make it work, as they should, but they stick around a little too long. And this whole never give up concept needs to be revised, or at least better explained, because I'm all for seeing things through. And you know, the last thing you want to do as an entrepreneur or any business owner is just give up at the first sign of trouble. Anyone who started a business, almost everyone, there are exceptions, will tell you the first year is pure hell. For me, the first 30 months were just nasty. I think I mentioned in another video, and I often tell people, I can still take my stomach and do one of these just by thinking of the first 24 to 36 months of business. It was hell. I was stressed out. I had left a really good job. I was paid well. I started this business when my wife was on maternity leave and my son was two months old. Seriously. Needless to say, I changed my life completely. So you don't want to run away at the first sign of trouble. There's going to be trouble in the beginning, because no matter how well you prepare a business, no matter how much you know about the industry, no matter how well you've stockpiled your money, hopefully, there's going to be the unexpected. There's going to be things that you don't recognize exist until you put everything into practice. So you definitely don't want to run, and you don't want to be that easy to give up. At the same time, this advice of never give up, you're only a failure if you quit, don't stop, keep going, this has led some people down a horrible path. And what I mean is, businesses fail. Okay, if there's one certainty in life aside from death and taxes, it's that businesses in general fail. That's what they do best. And thank goodness they do. If it weren't for the failure, we wouldn't have good businesses. We'd have a bunch of people just kind of dragging along, and maybe the government would support them because, hey, we don't want you to experience failure, something ridiculous like that. Businesses fail, and if you are a serial entrepreneur, if you're someone who started several businesses, like I said, I have 2 in my past. I have 3 in total. 1 has succeeded. I've been doing this for 11 years now, 11 and a half. And barring catastrophe, we will still be in business this time next year, and this time 2 years from now, and hopefully until I'm set to finally call it quits, and hopefully I can sell this place. But I have 2 failures. This is normal. And thank goodness for those failures, because A, they taught me something. Initially, they just taught me that I could lose a lot of money. But I did learn just how tough it is to make a buck. I could see where I, had made some assumptions that didn't make sense, where I wasn't properly financed and so forth, didn't really understand the market conditions, and had some bad luck too. That happens too. But had I persisted with those businesses and taken the advice of never give up, I'd be a very miserable man and very, very broke. And what I'm getting at is, it's okay to try to make something work. It's a whole other thing to beat a dead horse when you realize something is not working, period, is not going to work, doesn't have the potential to work. And I think what's going on here in a lot of cases, there's a few things. I mean, on one hand, people have been told, don't give up, don't give up. If you give up, you're a failure. And that's not true. It's okay to abandon a project when it's no longer working, or when it's no longer viable, or maybe you don't abandon, but you have to make a change. Maybe you're just in the wrong market, you're in the wrong business. Maybe you're on the wrong side of the equation. Maybe instead of searching for the gold, you should be selling the pickaxes, if you know what I mean. That's the first thing. But I think there's also this psychosis that enters the brain, I don't know if that's the right term, where people think, they don't realize what they're really saying is, as long as I don't quit, I haven't failed. And that's very dangerous, because nobody wants to be a failure. Nobody wants to fail. And it's easy to convince yourself, to say to yourself, well, no, my business isn't a failure, even though I've been trying for 6 years and I've gotten absolutely nowhere, and the most I've ever made in a single year is $8,000. And, I seem to be declining instead of growing, and I'm really not getting anywhere. But I haven't failed. I just haven't succeeded yet. No. There are businesses, a company I worked for at one point took about 10 years to really get a profit. But that's because the profits weren't there, not because the business couldn't, generate income. The business was always in this state of every time they reached a new echelon, they had to invest more money to grow and improve the infrastructure. And it took a good 10 years for the owner to finally say, wow, look at the money I'm making now. That's entirely different from nobody wants your service, or you've lost all your clients, or the market's changed and I don't seem to have anything to offer. At that point, abandoning ship, saying this is not working and trying to find something else, or even looking for a job, is not the end of the world. It really isn't, guys, especially if you're young. And a lot of the people I meet in this category are young, and it makes sense. They're inexperienced. Guys, my first business failed, okay, and it made next to nothing. The second business, pretty much the same result. And at that point, I said to myself, God, I need a job. I was in my 20s, my mid-20s. And it's like, you know what? I need a job. Now, some people will say, well, you quit. Yeah, I did. And I got a job. And you know what that job did? It gave me stability. It gave me income. It allowed me to save money. It allowed me to marry my wife, then girlfriend, who I really wanted to marry and start a life with. It allowed us to find a place to live. And it allowed me to gain skills on someone else's back. And that was 8.5 years. And then the itch came back, and I, had some challenges at work, and I wanted out, and I realized I wanted other things. And I took all that experience and all that money I had saved and put it into this. And it was scary, and it was gut-wrenching, and fortunately it worked out. What's my point? There's no honor in sticking with something that isn't working. There's no honor in beating a dead horse. And obviously this can lead to debt. That's where we can help out. And I say to people, think of it as a fresh start. But I also try to coax people if I'm looking at their business and it seems to be on the decline instead of the growing. It's okay to try something new. It's just a matter of changing your perspective. You are not a failure. You're still trying, you're still working towards a great goal, but you're taking a different path. Okay, that's a much healthier way to look at it than never give up, and if you do, you're a loser. Okay, those words can only be spoken by two types of people. Either A, people who've never tried business themselves, or B, people who are fortunate enough to succeed on the first try. And those people are very dangerous sometimes. Anyways, hope that helps a little. Happy New Year.